Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Elliot and welcome back to This and That Reviews. This is going to be my review on Fantastic Four First Steps. It almost sucks that movies are easily comparable to the other movies that you see not only around it, but also like into the past. Because I feel like if this movie came out not next to Superman, I would have enjoyed this movie like way more than I did. But it's one of those, like, I saw this the same day that I saw Superman, and by comparison, I like Superman so much more. But I do think that this is a very good movie. I think that this is on par with like an Ant-Man type movie. I think it's very good. I think it's very different in the same way that Ant-Man was very different. This movie takes place in the 1960s. It's a different world, which doesn't necessarily matter other than to say there are no other superheroes in this movie, which eliminates the idea of why isn't Thor helping them? Why isn't Captain Marvel helping them? Where's the new Avengers? Where's Kate Bishop? Where's Ms. Marvel? Where's Bruce Banner? Where's Spider-Man? It takes place in New York. Where's Doctor Strange? So you get to eliminate all of those questions, and it's just Fantastic Four in their own world, and in that way, it's very refreshing. It's also a family of superheroes. Now, this obviously isn't the first Fantastic Four movie that's ever come out, and I like the other. Fan Four Stick, I don't really like. I did like the originals. I do have the original, the Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, like those. The two of those, I did like those. I didn't necessarily mind the Spore Cloud. I know how insane that is, but I don't have any nostalgia for Galactus, so I didn't necessarily understand that was a insane departure until way later. So when I saw the movie, I thought it was fine. This movie manages to have a balanced version of the originals. It's as funny. It keeps it's the good amount of humor from those two, with the serious tone, like a balanced serious tone that Fant Four Stick had. Because I think that the originals had too much of a campy feel because of the era that it came out in the superhero era that it came out in, and then in the superhero era that Fant Four Stick came out in. It also had a too gritty tone. It was in the era of the Dark Knight, and everything has to be gritty, and everything has to be dark, and everything. People love when superheroes are overly serious. It's clobbering time, is what my brother used to tell me before he beat me up. This movie has a balanced version of the camp of the original and the seriousness of Fant Four Stick. In every way that this movie is funny, you get a serious moment like, kill her, Johnny. Like, that is a serious moment. I was not prepared for that line. I was like, whoa, okay, that's where we are in this movie. There is a seriousness about this movie, but there's also like a funniness and like a campiness, because there are also campy lines. And I feel like it's the best of both worlds wrapped up into one movie. I believed all the characters. There's not really anything bad that I can necessarily say about this movie, with the one singular nitpick that I wish they would have had some kind of device to tell you the passage of time. There's a lot of time jumps in this movie, and you understand that there is a time jump because of contextual clues. They come back from space. When they come back from space, spoiler alert, when they go into space, they come back from space. But they come back from space and they go to sleep. And when they wake up, there's news broadcasts about all of the things that, are happening in the world since they've come back from space. And you understand, as an audience member, as a smart audience member, that all of those things that you're watching on the news, that didn't take place overnight. That's taken place over a period of time. And there's a lot of moments like that where they're giving you very obvious, like, time has passed, but they don't tell you how much time has passed, and you just kind of guess at it. And I didn't like that. A lot of this movie feels very montaged through. It felt, if I had anything negative to say about this movie, it's that it felt like an episode of a Fantastic Four TV series. And I don't mean quality-wise, but I do mean, like, as soon as this movie ended, all I wanted was another adventure in the Fantastic Four. Like, the movie sets up a next adventure, the next episode. It sets up like, all right, guys, we gotta go on our next adventure. And I was just like, I want to see that second episode. This felt like a very good pilot episode for a TV series. Like a movie that is the first 2 episodes, like, of a TV series, of a pilot TV series. Like part 1, part 2, and maybe part 3. Maybe a 3-part TV series. And this is it's a 3-part pilot, and then you go into regular episodes. I wanted to see the next episode. But in that way, it didn't feel like a movie to me. It felt like a pilot episode to a TV series. A very good pilot episode to a TV series. And I don't know how to quantify that, like what that feeling is. Like Moana 2 felt the same way, if you've ever seen that. Like Moana feels like a movie. Moana 2 feels like, because it was supposed to be a TV series, but it feels like a Moana adventure in a Moana TV series. That's what this one felt like. A lot of it is montaged through. There was a lot of montages in this movie. And then even like, as I was saying before, when I said that I wish they gave you a sense of how much time was passing, even that feels montagey in the sense that, okay, here's a scene and then time passes and here's another scene and then time passes and here's another scene. So even the regular scenes kind of feel montagey, which I thought was a very strange feeling to have while watching this movie. I love the score. I remember like turning to my girlfriend and saying like, this score is amazing. I love how well they used the Fantastic Four. Like, so like you have different versions of that. And I told her like, as soon as we got out of the movies, that my favorite thing was that they used it, but they used it in different ways. I remember watching Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I rewatched that movie with this in mind. I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark like much later in life, and the thing that I that was getting really funny after a while was dun 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 dun. Right? It's cool when he's running away from the boulder, but then all of a sudden now he's in a fight. Dun 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 dun. And then all of a sudden he's jumping through buildings. Dun 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 dun. And then like he has to escape some other thing because guards are shooting him. Dun 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 dun. Like it's just the same song over and over and over and over, just in every action sequence. And then even within an action sequence, it'll like lower, like it'll be like, because it's not all action. Because it'll cut away to something, so you'll kind of hear it just in the background. So it'll be dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. and like the song is great, but like they keep using it over and over and over in the same way, just every action sequence. The way that this movie uses Fantastic Four is so good. Because they use it multiple times, but they use it in different ways. So, like when they're, and I'm going to go into spoilers, kind of. I feel like if you've seen the trailers, you understand this. But like when they're gearing up to go on the spaceship, you have the dun, 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 right? And then, when they meet Galactus, you have the dun, 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 right? And then when Franklin is born, you have the dun, 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 dun. And it's just like, it's the same thing, but it's used in dramatically different ways. And it makes you excited about hearing it again. And it was just something that I noticed, by the second, like when they did it, when they meet Galactus, that they were using that same cue, but in like this dark way, and it was just and and then I really noticed it when they did like an instrumental tappy version with Franklin when he was in like a crib or something, and that was something that I really appreciated about this movie. Like the movie. It's not a character in the same way that in Guardians of the Galaxy the soundtrack is a character, but it's definitely something that you notice, and I liked it for it. I think that this is a good movie. I think that, of the MCU movies, this is like a top 20 MCU movies. I think it does everything that it's trying to do very well. I think all of the casting is great. I believe in all of the characters. I do wish that the Thing had a little bit more to do other than be Ebon Moss-Backrack from The Bear. Just the Thing, he cooks. That's what he does. He cooks and he knows things. That's who the Thing is in this movie. He cooks and he knows things. Johnny even has a side plot that, he has to himself. But like the Thing doesn't really have anything. They try to give him a thing. They try to give him a thing, but like it doesn't really go anywhere, and like that, like I think that could have been a thing, but like it doesn't really go anywhere, and so like that kind of bothered me, that he just doesn't have something to do. Sue obviously has something to do. Reed is the driving force of this movie. I almost forgot to talk about this. Reed Richards in this movie is such a unique version of a Reed Richards. The idea that this entire movie centers around him not knowing what to do, but still being the smartest man in this world, is so interesting. The idea that it all falls on him to figure something out. Now, the things that he figures out, people have made countless amounts of memes for, so I won't spoil that here. But suffice it to say, like, it's interesting to have a Reed Richards where his superpower, not the stretchy thing, but his superpower is that he is the smartest person in the world, and he doesn't know how to figure this out. He doesn't know, he has the burden of being super smart. There's a great moment with him and Sue, where her line is, "You being you hurts me." And I related to that so well. Because that's the thing, it's the thing about being smart. Not to toot my own horn. When you know that you are smarter than somebody that you are talking about or talking to, there's a sense of superiority. There's a sense of, like, I'm doing YouTube videos and giving my feelings on things. There's a part of me that has to feel like I know more, right? There's a part of me that feels like I know enough about movies to talk about movies. There's a part of me that has to feel like that, right? And so if I'm like talking to like one of my friends, like at work or something, and like they're talking about movies, I do feel like I'm a little bit more knowledgeable because of the amount of movies and the amount of time that I've taken in this sphere. The amount of like reviews that I've watched, the amount of movies that I've seen. And so there is that sense of when you are talking to somebody, quote unquote, lesser, when you're talking to somebody who you think is less knowledgeable, that you kind of come off as a dick. That there's a part of the phrasing, there's a part of like the directness, where you start to sound like an asshole. And he talks to Sue a little bit like that. He makes these decisions because he has to, because everybody looks to him to make these decisions, and sometimes his decisions aren't morally correct. They are just the thing that like logically are correct, but maybe morally are not correct. And those two things are very separate things. And he has a very logic-based brain. And so when he says something, that is what he means. But then morally, you're like, that's kind of sucky. You know, like there's a part of you that it's like, no, you're wrong. It's like, you're not wrong, but you are kind of wrong. You are wrong in a different way than you think that you are, than the correct that you think that you are. And what you're saying and how you're saying it comes off as wrong, even though technically you are right, but you are kind of wrong. And I love that they play with that. I love that they play with this idea that you could be the smartest person and still be stupid. It just hit me on a very deep level. And I will love this movie for that exact reason. Like just watching Reed Richards be the smartest person and just not be able to figure anything out the whole movie, just not know what to do, even though everybody is looking at him like he has all the answers, because eventually he will, was just a very fun like movie watching experience. I think that it's a movie that's going to become like people's favorite once it drops onto Disney Plus, even if they don't watch it in theaters. I do think it's a very big theatrical movie. Like there's a lot of big scenes in this movie that, you know, would look really well theatrically. But I do think that this, like Eternals, a lot of people will find even more enjoyment out of when it's like free on Disney Plus, even if they aren't rushing to go see it when it's in theaters right now. But yeah, I think that it's good. And it makes me excited to see episode 4 of the Fantastic Four series.